Hey guys, check out this cool magic trick. This is the 27mm 1.2 by Viltrox, but it's so big and heavy, sometimes you just gotta, yeah! Oh, look at it, boo-boo! This is the 27mm no, it's not a 4.5. Check this out though, it makes your Fujifilm camera super small. Now Viltrox actually released this lens for full frame cameras, which makes sense. If you have like a Sony a7C, you can actually make your camera really small to walk around and do street photography. But if you have one of the tinier Fujifilm cameras, it really makes it small. Now, not many features to list here, but that's the point. It's a super simple small lens. Number one, it's tiny. Number two, there's no manual focus ring, nothing. Number three, it's a fixed aperture lens. It's stuck at 4.5. That's something else to think about. I don't know what number I'm up to, but it's got no lens cap. It's got this cool little lens window, which I really appreciate, because the smaller the lens, the smaller the lens cap, and then forget it, it's gone. Now we should probably address the obvious, which is how much smaller is it than the already small Fujifilm 27mm 2.8, and you can change the aperture on this lens. If you look at them side by side, there's about two little Viltroxes in this one Fujifilm, but the Fujifilm has a focus ring, and the newer version of this 27mm actually fits an aperture ring in there as well. Let's look at some photos. All right, little shot of New York City at 4.5, because that's what you're stuck at, but to me it looks really nice. It's sharp, you can see the buildings. And yeah, that's my raw edit, straight out of camera. This is what it looks like as a JPEG. Super beautiful art here. Comparing it to the 27mm 2.8 lens at 4.5, I stopped it down. You can see that it's a little sharper than the 28mm 4.5 here in the middle. If you read this vault here, ew, there's dog poop here. Come on, people. You can see the dog poop is a little sharper on the 27mm 2.8. So here I'm shooting into the sun with the Fujifilm on the left and the Viltrox on the right. Fujifilm actually performs better, but I like the mess that the Viltrox, the flaring I like. Its imperfections give the lens a little bit more interest and character. And shooting into the trees here, Fujifilm on the left, Viltrox on the right. I didn't notice any crazy purple fringing or anything. I did notice that the Fujifilm was just a little bit more contrasty shooting into the sun. Now, if you're not zooming in and looking at sharpness, you could this is a great walk around lens. This shot right here, looking at the city with a jogger coming by, to me, they kind of look the same if you're not zooming in. Now here I wanted to show you what 2.8 gives you if you have 2.8 versus 4.5. So I kind of shot these fences, this net fence about the same distance, and you can see your background gets a little blurrier with the 2.8 versus the 4.5. Here, just again, shooting a scene. The Fujifilm is, again, sharper and cleaner, but I think that the Viltrox also, not being as sharp and having a little bit less contrast, gives you a more filmic look. So those of you that have film recipes and are sort of like adding a lot of grain, and I don't think you guys are gonna notice like pixel peeping and sharpness. So this is an example of that where, the Viltrox is a little less contrasty, a little hazier, but still sharp. Like you're still kind of sharp, but definitely not as sharp as the Fujifilm. I think we've established that. And just to show you 2.8 versus 4.5, I shot the Frank Sinatra statue here. I focused on his legs. You could see the background slightly blurrier at 2.8 here versus f4.5. You can see the no dogs on grass sign. You could read it here. Okay, both at 4.5 again, and in the center, this is what they look like. And if you go to the corner sailboat here and zoom in, sharper on the 2.8 versus the Viltrox there. But the Viltrox is no slouch. This is both of them at 4.5. Shooting this here, I'm zoomed in pretty much, and you're kind of pixel peeping. You could see a little bit more detail in this one, but like not by much, you know? Like, again, if you edit and sharpen in post, it's not going to be an issue if the size of the lens is more important to you. Minimum focus distance, you can get a little closer with the Fujifilm, as you can see here, versus the Viltrox. And this is me shooting my Noir camera. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can see I was focusing on this dial here. And here is the Fujifilm on the right, Viltrox on the left, and their reds to me look similar enough. Maybe a little richer on the Fujifilm because of that contrast. Maybe you get a little bit more red-ish. Here's shooting some books with both lenses, and I mean, to me, they both look good. You know, look at we're pixel peeping now. All right, overall thoughts on the chip lens. Great price point, great size. Can double as a body cap. You know, if you're going traveling, you could just bring this instead of a body cap and pack your camera that way. It kind of, if you have a Ricoh GR like I do, the 27 millimeter kind of gives you a budget Ricoh GRX, which is this focal length, a 40 millimeter equivalent. So yeah, poor man's Ricoh GR3. I love that it doesn't have a lens cap because I'm the worst at losing those. And the lens has a little bit of character. When I shot it with the backlight, it kind of, the sunlight kind of diffused everywhere, which may be like a flaw on other lenses, but I actually liked it on this lens compared to the more controlled lenses. There was no chromatic aberration when I shot against the trees, no fringing, which is pretty impressive for this little guy. And for $100, it comes with a metal mount, which is impressive. There's also a USB connection there in case you need to update the firmware in the future. Now, negatives, the first one is every time I'm putting this lens on with my eyes, there's no beautiful big red dot or marker that tells me where to line up. The dot is inside. But anyway, I've memorized that the red dot is where this writing is on the lens. You see that writing there? That's where the red dot is. And so I've kind of learned to line it up there. You could always make a little mark or something, but that's a dumb negative. But to me, that was... I'd say in the last negative is you're kind of stuck at 4.5, which sounds good. You know, you let in more light, yay. But the problem is, some of us, we zone focus when we do street photography. So you're usually at f8 and f11, which gives you more depth on the street, especially when it's really sunny out. You don't really care about, you know, having your lens open up wider to 4.5. So that's kind of a negative. If you're a zone focuser, you have to be a little bit better at pre-focusing to a certain distance, setting it to manual focus, and always kind of shooting at that distance. All right, that's a look at the 27 millimeter chip lens. That's what it's called, chip lens. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Look, all you got to do is this. Oh, God. Wee! Look at this. Oh, no.